Welcome to This Is, where we have a very special guest, the slow-mo man himself, Gavin Free. Gav, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is the first thing I've done today. So I'm awake, I'm with it.
Well, I hope you're awake, because we're about to quiz you on your own videos. So, of course, you and Dan have made many videos over... Actually, how long have you guys been doing slow-mo, guys?
Almost a decade. I think a decade in October.
Essentially, what we want to do is really test your knowledge on how well you know your own videos and how well you know slow motion footage. So we're going to ask you 2 questions about each video. First of all, what it is. So if you don't remember the exact title, that's fine. But as long as you're kind of in the right ballpark of, oh, it was the balloon video or whatever, that counts. And then what year that video was posted, give or take 1 year for the handicap. So if it was 2013, 2012, or 2014 would be correct.
I'm really gonna struggle with the years. They all blend together.
Well, especially because I feel like some of these you probably shot like a year beforehand and didn't get around to editing until later anyway.
Yeah, there are some where it's just like, this video from 2016, I'll edit that in 2018. No one will notice.
So, as per usual, if you can hit that 50%, I will tweet whatever it is that you want, including photos of myself in my underwear or my nipples, because apparently everyone thinks that's hilarious. But if you are not able to hit the 50% threshold, we ask you just tweet out a kind little subscribe to This Is link. Does that sound fair to you?
Sounds pretty damn fair.
All right. Are you ready for question number 1?
Yes. Yeah, thanks for picking one that I filmed this year. That is trying to destroy YouTube's compression using glitter.
I mean, I will not even try to keep you in suspense. Yes, the title is Breaking YouTube with Slow-Mo Glitter. And you definitely broke YouTube because this video looks like an absolute mess as soon as you start playing.
Looks like garbage, doesn't it? Even if you watch it in 8K, it still struggles.
Wait, you uploaded it in 8K?
I do it because, most of the audience watches videos on a telephone. So I thought I'm definitely going to start uploading in 8K.
Can you walk me through how glitter breaks the YouTube compression?
I'm the only one who gets to see the raw footage. I try and export it, in the highest possible bitrate, highest possible resolution. But because, it is YouTube trying to deal and serve online video to the masses, it very much struggles with compression. So videos like that, only I have seen. And also, I uploaded at 50 FPS. But played the slow-mo back at 25, so that not only was it upscaled, every frame was doubled, just in hope that it might improve the compression somehow, because then not every frame is different. It's like every 2 frames are the same. Didn't help at all.
So, question number 1, obviously, you were very much at 100%. So you kind of get the idea. So essentially what we're trying to do is we're going to be zooming in, we're going to be speeding things up. We're going to try to make it a little more difficult for you with question number 2.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. That was droplets on a super hydrophobic surface. It's got to be like 2013 or 14.
So with this one, actually, can we go ahead and play the full video? Because I think it's really interesting because when you look at the crop, it sort of really changes the perspective versus the full thing. So what's going on here? So essentially you've got a surface that you've coated it with the oleophobic liquid?
It was actually a material that was manufactured to be hydrophobic. I think we filmed this in New York at the GE development center of some sort. It was a sponsored video for GE. But yeah, they were showing us all their tech that looks cool in slow-mo. And this hydrophobic stuff was great. I could watch liquids bounce around for ages. It's like one of the most satisfying things to watch for some reason in slow motion.
Okay, so obviously you were correct with the video. Do you know what year this video came out?
That's where I'm struggling because that is in a period of the slow-mo guys that I like to call the past, where I don't quite remember. I would guess 2013 or 2014. 2013
or 2014. Well, you were correct about the period. It is, in fact, from the past. And yes, it is from 2014. Well, after question 2, I think that you're obviously very, very skilled with knowing your own videos. So are you feeling confident right now?
So far, but also I don't know how far you've taken this in terms of the zooming in. So we'll see where it goes.
We're about to zoom in on 400,000%. So hopefully you know each and every individual pixel well. Let's move on to question number 3.
That was dropping a room from a crane. We tried to just fill a room with stuff and drop it, just because that was from one of our YouTube shows where they gave us a little bit of budget, and I would guess that came out in 2018.
You were 100% correct. That is dropping living room from the Super Slow Show. So you've actually done a couple of YouTube originals at this point. How is it different to be able to actually work with, like you said, an actual budget and a crew, and not just you guys in your backyard having to do everything yourself?
It's definitely nice to focus on just one element of making videos, because usually, you would say I'm like the director and the cameraman, and then I'm in it, and then I edit it. But it was nice to just kind of be a host. A little bit stressful though, going from a crew of 0 to a crew of, I think we had like 80 people on some days. And that was out in the desert, so, you have to have little base camps and PAs and stuff, because everything gets very expensive when you're out on location for weeks on end.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to shoot? Because I'm assuming you just shot the entire show in like a couple weeks back to back.
We did, but we were very quickly running out of budget in terms of the scale of things. So we had to then like cram stuff together. Like instead of just dropping a room, to make it financially beneficial to build all that stuff, we had to drop other stuff. So like we dropped a car. And we ended up doing 6-day weeks, only having Sunday off, and we did that for 6 weeks. So by the end of it, I was I was loopy. Like if you watch the end of the Super Slow Show, I like barely know where I am. It's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. You had 6 full weeks? Dude, that's nuts. And I assume so much of the work had to have been not even just in the shooting, but someone had to build the room. I'm sure you had to plan each and every individual shot. And you did a ton of episodes, and each one had multiple different things. I can't even imagine dealing with that, man. All right, well, that's very cool. Why don't we go back a little bit more old school with question number 4?
Yeah, that one looks awful. So that was we had like a Goop cannon, where I think in that moment we were firing chocolate pudding at Dan to see if we could clean out a bunch of different stains from his lab coat. Another sponsored video.
Oh my god. Okay, do you know what year you made this Goop cannon video?
Oh, you're throwing some difficult ones at me now. I would guess 2014.
All right, well, it is in fact 2015, which means that you still get points. So watching that clip, it actually really makes me think, that seems so giftable. Do you see, you've got to have so many people stealing your content for, all kinds of clips and for gifts and stuff. Is that a problem? How do you actually deal with that?
Yeah, there's a lot of I feel like a lot of our footage is very memeable. Like you could use this clip and just put Mondays on the Goop or something. That's a GIF. I don't really do anything about it. I just laugh usually.
I feel in some ways it makes sense because people are sharing, you can see it in the video. More likely people are gonna actually find the content. But I know some people get really sort of weird about it, especially when it comes to slow motion footage. I feel like a lot of people like watermark and stuff, which I get.
I just eventually stopped caring. It's probably not the best route to take because, you should care about your copyright, I guess. But I feel like if it's used and people see it, maybe they'll just get a little giggle out of it. And I also like that he's holding his throat and his crotch. He's clearly identified the most important parts on his body.
We gotta give Dan some props here. Because, dude, you're pretty mean to Dan.
He is always up for it. I think the first time I hit him with this cannon, he's like, yeah, it was fine. Can we turn up the power a little bit? He's always one for the footage needs to be good. It needs to hold up under the intense scrutiny of slow motion.
Oh man. Well, look, I think at this point you are cruising to an easy victory. However, let's move on to I think what might be the grossest one of all, question number 5.
That is a video idea that we just fully ripped off Rhett and Link, where you just put a cob of corn on a drill and spin it, and your teeth just rip off all the corn. We also decided to put ketchup on it. I guess the corn itself wasn't as visually cool as also flinging a bunch of goop everywhere.
Of course, you were 100% correct about the video. Do you remember when this came out?
That's got to be 2017.
Well, you're close. It is 2016, which means you still get full points, and you have officially gone 5 for 5 or 10 for 10. So you've already clinched the game.
I think I'm at an advantage because I never did what all YouTubers are supposed to do. I never hired an editor. So I know the footage quite well.
And I think a lot of these are so like iconic looking because it's like, it's not like a lot of generic stuff. Like when I was doing this game for my videos, a lot of stuff looks similar, right? Like, oh, you see like a PC in the background. Okay, cool. I can't even see what that is. But with your videos, I mean, it's so visual, right? I mean, there's not a lot of corn in the slow-mo guys would be my guess.
That was the first corn-based video that we did.
Let's move on to question number 6.
That one is, I think it's called something like inside a giant 6 foot balloon of air or something like that. Dan was stood in a giant blue balloon and we filled it with air.
So that is 100% correct. So you guys have done a lot of balloon videos over the years, right? You've done like the water balloons, you've done the air balloons. I think balloons must, I mean, that's gotta look so cool, not only for the thumbnail, but for the video. Like it's such a visual thing of just like, pop.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most, before we started the channel, there was some slow motion video on YouTube. There was some high speed, but it was usually mute, didn't have any sound. There was no context around what the subject was. And it was always balloons of water popping. So after we started the channel, we never did one. We never did a balloon popping because I felt like everyone's already seen that. But then I found out you can buy 6-foot balloons. And I thought, I've never seen a 6-foot balloon of water pop, or like with this one, air. And they just became insanely popular on our channel. Like our most viewed video, somewhere around 180 million views, is a giant water balloon popping.
That's insane, man.
We decided to do giant balloon video, at least one every year.
Dude, that is so good. Well, speaking of year, do you remember what year this balloon video did go live? Yeah. Maybe 2015, that one? It is in fact 2016. So you've been very consistently off by 1 year, but that's inside the handicap, so it still counts.
I feel like it's a very generous handicap. There's also a funny fact about this video. You can see on the left there, we've got a leaf blower sticking inside to inflate it. Originally, we both just had a super dumb moment. We had the leaf blower in there with it, and we were wondering why it wasn't inflating. We're like, what's wrong with this leaf blower? And then we realized, oh, it's just pulling air from inside the balloon and putting it back into the balloon. So of course it's not inflating.
Oh my god. Look, sometimes when you're doing these weird projects, I feel like you have to think in very orthodox ways. That's kind of understandable.
Yeah. We were just like, oh yeah, how does the leaf blower work?
All right, well, let's move on to question number 7.
That is, once again, poor Dan. We were doing Fruit Ninja, basically. He had a katana, and I was beating him in the head with fruit. Well, not trying to beat him in the head. I was trying to hit the sword, but I'm not very good at throwing.
Wait, so did that hit the sword, or did that hit his head?
That may have glanced the sword. There was one where we're trying to do like an Armageddon type shot where the sword was in front of him, and I was trying to throw the tomato at the sword so it would like separate and go either side of his head. But there was one shot where I just completely missed the sword. It hit him right in the face.
Do you remember what year that video came out?
I would say it came out in 2019, but it definitely was shot in like 2017 or something.
Well, you were 100% correct. It is from 2019, Satisfying Slow-Mo Fruit Ninja.
You can see the Armageddon effect sort of worked on the left side, but it didn't send the bigger lump off enough to the other side.
How many times do you think you threw a tomato at him in this one day?
Oh, at least 10. Because honestly, like the reason Dan is in front of the camera is because he's very good at like, if I'm like, hey Dan, do you think you can cut an arrow in half as I fire at you with a sword? He's like, I'll give it a go, and he'll just do it first try. And I will always nail the camera. Like it's very rare that I'll mess up a camera trigger or I'll just mess up a pan or something like that. And if we swap roles, we are garbage. Like he misses the trigger like you wouldn't believe, and I can't hit anything to save my life. So we just sort of know our roles, so we're very happy in our roles, and we find it very stressful if for whatever reason we're switched.
Can you actually kind of walk us through a little bit about how you actually trigger the cameras? Because I know a slow motion camera, it's not like a continuous record, right? You have to actually be very precise on triggering it.
Yeah, well, usually the way it's done with digital, which is a huge benefit over film, is that it will record to RAM, which is like the fastest way you could just dump, gigabits of throughput onto a medium. So it's recording to RAM, but it does it in a loop, so it's a RAM buffer. So typically, the memory of a camera isn't the largest, especially when you're shooting 100,000 plus frames a second. So you might only have like 4 or 5 seconds of recording. So if you're filming a subject where you don't quite know when it's going to happen, like an explosion or like a balloon reaching full capacity and popping, you don't want to just guess and record forwards. You want to be recording in a constant loop, and when it happens, you then just want to stop the camera so you retain the previous 4 or 5 seconds.
That's crazy, man. So essentially what's happening is when you have the camera sort of facing whatever is happening, you essentially have the trigger, so you hit it as soon as the thing is actually ended, and then the camera saves that few seconds?
Yeah, so it's always running, and it's recording over itself in a loop until you stop it. So actually, our cameras, like especially when we're filming like 300,000 frames a second, they're just recording 300,000 frames per second every second for potentially hours until we say, hey, stop, we'll look at these ones. But it means we've technically put like billions and billions of frames through all of our cameras. I actually once just, I rolled on myself. I think it was like 400,000 frames a second, very tiny resolution. And I just filmed us setting up. So it was just rolling for like an hour because I was trying to make myself the most photographed human on the planet. Because I don't know, who's the most... It basically took like billions of pictures of me. It didn't keep any of them, but it took them. So I was like, do I qualify? Am I the most photographed person ever?
I think you can hit up Guinness World Records about that. I feel like that sounds like it would count.
Yeah, maybe.
You're very close right now to 100%ing the game. Are you ready to move on to question number 8?
Have you had people 100% the game yet?
We have not. We've had a couple people come very close, but they've always missed at least like one of the questions. So right now you could be the ultimate This Is winner, which I've just decided is a new category that we can have. So yeah.
Yeah, I know that one too. I'm getting lucky here. That's breaking a Pyrex dish or Pyrex jug using like heat stress. Oh, we made it hot and then we put cold water in it. And we did either the water was hot or it was cold, or the Pyrex was hot or cold, and then the sudden change in temperature causes stress in the glass and it explodes.
Is there like a trade-off between like resolution and like speed with them?
Yeah, so the cameras have a certain amount of throughput that they can offer. The camera we use, the 2511, which we often borrow from Destin from Smarter Every Day. I think that's what we used in that video. It's a trade-off between the resolution and the frame rate. As you lower the resolution, you then have more throughput available to the frame rate. I think on that one, we were able to push the frame rate beyond 300,000 frames a second on one of them. And at that point, you're slowing down a second to a few hours.
And I'm sure you keep all your raw footage, right?
I do. I've kept every single raw file since the very first shot we filmed, which has been a financial nightmare.
All of that being said, you were of course correct about the video. Do you remember what year this video came out?
I would throw 2016 up as a guess.
And your guess would be 100% correct. Dude, I think you actually might get this 100%. I don't want to get too excited right now, but you were very, very close. All right, we're ready to move on to question number 9.
Oh, that's a really old one. Yeah, that was like, I think I was trying to cash in on like seasonal videos or like holiday. That was like an Easter-based video.
What, really?
I'm gonna guess that was like 2011. Back in the day, it was extremely easy to make a video because there wasn't a ton of high speed on YouTube, and I could just do whatever. I'd be like, oh, let me have a rummage around in the fridge. Oh, let me just grab my next door neighbor and throw an egg at him, And that's exactly what I did for that video. Dan wasn't even there. I mean, that was me probably just goofing around on the weekend.
That's so good. So it's funny to think about how far things have come, because I mean, I bet most of your shoots these days, even the ones that's just you and Dan, are still tons of time to set up, to think through the idea, bring the lights in, all that kind of stuff. And back in the day, it was just like, oh, you know what? Eggs, let's go.
You absolutely hit the nail on the head. The biggest challenge that I've faced in having this channel is that we've certainly tried to up the standard, up the quality every year that we've been doing it. So I'm always trying to upgrade the cameras. I'm always trying to get like better lenses. And that has evolved into, we can film like one video a day. We used to be able to film like 4 or 5 on a Saturday. And then I would just edit them over the coming months. And that was at the time when we both lived in the same country. So it was super easy. Like he would come over and we'd just be like, oh, why don't we just spray water on a fire? And it would take like 10 minutes to make a video. And and now it would take all day to make a video. Like, for example, that glitter video, that was like 10 hours of dropping glitter. It's kind of frustrating that I guess I know that the quality or the effort we put in doesn't necessarily translate to views. I just want to be improving So I do it anyway, even though it costs me so much more money and time. Because I don't think we'd get away with just throwing an egg at someone's face and uploading it anymore. That was very sort of early Slow-Mo Guys days.
Well, of course, I think that's the same thing for almost everyone, right? I mean, it's like, I look back at my old videos, and I mean, they're trash, right? I mean, in those early days, there were videos that I hit the record button, talk for 3 minutes, hit stop, put that SD card in my computer, and uploaded it directly to YouTube.
I think the lowest effort video I ever did, I had a hard drive that failed, so I just opened the lid and I just filmed like two clips of how a hard drive, like how the head travels across the platter, and I didn't even host it. I didn't even make an intro. It's just slow-mo clip, and I think I just added some VO. I uploaded it like 2 years after I filmed it, and it got like 10 million views. And it took me honestly, because I only did the slow-mo, it took me like 5 seconds to shoot it. And now I look back on those moments, I'm like, I wish it was that easy to film videos now.
Let's move on to what could potentially be the final question. Question number 10.
It's so zoomed in. I'm trying to figure out if that's a CD or a record. I feel like it's a record. Yeah, I think that's the spinning the record to pieces.
Okay, and do you remember what year that particular video came out?
So I kind of draw a blank spot between our two YouTube originals, between like Planet Slow-Mo and the Super Slow Show. Maybe 2018. I'm gonna have to guess 2018, but I'm honestly, this is the least sure I've been.
It's good that you were safe, because it's actually from 2017, which means that you are officially the first This Is Ultimate winner, completing every single question with, well, at least inside the handicap, 100% accuracy. Good job, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the handicap. I would have been screwed without it.
Yeah, I think you were still well within.
That was 2017? I can't believe that was 3 years ago. That one feels actually very recent to me.
Yeah, you spun a record at 12,500 FPS. So now, my friend, you have completed the game show. You can walk away with a tweet where I will tweet literally whatever it is that you like, or you can go for a double or nothing bonus question. If you're able to get it correct, then you will be able to trade your tweet for a 30-second ad spot promoting whatever it is that you like. However, if you are even off by a year, then you will have to walk away with literally nothing besides your imaginary This Is Ultimate Game Winner trophy. How you feeling right now, buddy? You feeling confident?
Well, I feel like we know my reliance on the handicap, so to be without that is a scary thought, but I'm gonna have to go for it. I'm gonna have to go double or nothing all in.
All right, I'm very excited. Okay, so for the double or nothing bonus question, let's take a look.
Are you showing me the first episode? Well, if you don't include the trailer, I think the first episode would have been Exploding Lighters. I think that's like October 2010.
Gavin Free, you have made it through 10 questions and a bonus round. And yet, on the final question, you are correct. You are an official winner. You are dead on, my friend. 0 handicap required.
Well, thank you very much for testing me on literally content that I myself made. I feel like if you tested me on like the history of high speed or something scientific, I would have fallen tragically. But
congratulations, my friend. We were really trying to figure out how we wanted to do this. For a minute there, we were actually gonna trying other slow motion footage, but the problem was that other slow motion footage was not as good as yours, and we're just like, you know what? Let's just see if you can remember your own videos. And obviously, you have remembered them with 100% accuracy. Gavin, thank you very much for being on the show. Now, I guess the real question is, what would you like us to do an ad spot on?
Do you have access to a macro lens?
I do have a macro lens, yes.
I think what I'd like to see is a macro nipple shot, with someone just writing around the nipple or on the nipple, youtube.com/the slow-mo guys, or if that is even the URL, I don't know. Whatever the URL to the channel is.
All right, that might be the most creative one. Well, Gavin, thank you very much for being on. Keep your eyes out for that video. And if people somehow have not found you on your many different homes across the internet, where best can they find your content and your wonderful face?
I would just search the slow-mo guys on YouTube or in Google. You'll find me.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much for being on. I'm not happy that I have to now draw on my nipples, but it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be completely okay. And thank you very much for watching this episode of the This Is Game Show. Make sure to subscribe for lots more exciting content like this. And until this next nipple escapade, I will catch you in the next one.